Welcome back to another pen talk. Thanks for tuning in. And today we're going to stick with our theme, pens from China. I saw this pen on eBay. Here's the auction. The pen looks very familiar. It looks like the Delike Alpha pen. But it came in some interesting colors. Certainly not a lot of money went into the packaging. And plastic bag with an SKU label on it. It's the silver version with the 1.0 millimeter nib. There's two choices of nibs, and I think that's good. And these are different nibs than what you're going to find on the Delike Alpha, but, well, different than the standard. So one of the first things that you'll notice is this is a silver pen. There is zero question about what color this pen is. And this, I'm assuming it's plated because the base is brass. They did an excellent job. That's really nice plating, consistent, no flaws. And you may be looking for War and Peace, and there's no markings on this pen at all. So for those that like this pen but couldn't stand War and Peace, you now have an option. And we need to bring in Mr. Froggy to put him on Mr. Froggy. And Mr. Froggy is now offering you the pen. So we're going to dive into this a little bit, compare it to the Delike Alpha, and see how this 1 millimeter nib performs. You may ask, Chris, why do you have this pen? And the simple answer is because I was interested in it, but also because I feel it's good to explore. And one of the reasons why I do these videos is to buy pens like this, show them to my viewers, and so they can make their own decisions on whether that's a pen that they would want to acquire, and hopefully they can make a better buying decision. And I enjoy exploring all different types of pens, and this is certainly one that fits that description. Did I need another metal alpha pen? Absolutely not. Interesting nib, so that's one of the advantages of it. But you know, I enjoy seeing how it's better made than the Delike Alpha, at least the ones that I have. Maybe the newer versions of the Delike Alpha, they may have made changes to them, and you never know. They don't really keep model numbers or historical information like that. But you know, I'm glad I have the pen. It's my only really silver pen like this, so in that it holds a unique place in my collection. The first thing you'll notice is when you uncap it, there's resistance. For those of you that didn't like the resistance on the Stipula Passaporte that I did a review on, then you may not like this either. A little bit over 2 turns to bring the cap off. And that silver theme is continued on to the section. Unlike other pocket pens, this one is almost usable without posting. But what really makes this a little bit unique is this nib, which is more of a fude style than a bent nib. And I think the 1 millimeter is probably measured near the bottom of that curve, which is where normal writing angle, if you're writing at about a 45-degree angle, that's what's going to touch the paper. It posts like the Delike, it posts well. It actually posts very securely. This is not a light pen. We'll give you those dimensions of the pen and the cap. And you can feel the cap, because most of the weight is in the cap. At least I'm guessing that based on my feel. The scales will confirm that or deny it. The section can be a little slippery. As we start writing more with this, we'll see how that works out. But overall, I'm impressed with the quality. And it's priced considerably less than the Delike Alpha, and it certainly is no less of a quality pen. So here we are with the Delike Alpha in brass, and this is the lacquered version. As we turn it around, no, this is the one I took the lacquer off. So the War and Peace is not as visible. Here's the one with the lacquer on it. And there's that worn piece. The dimensions are almost identical, if not identical. But let's look inside the cap. And there's a plastic liner in the cap, which really fits closely with the barrel, provides a nice seal, which also makes it feel a little heavier. As you can see down in the barrel, the threads that actually match up to the barrel are cut into the brass metal. But that's what also makes it post very securely. And it takes a little bit of effort to get it off when you post it, and you can feel that friction when you tighten up the cap. If we look at the Delike, the cap comes off very easily, and there's really no liner there like there is in the other pen. I have trouble pronouncing it, but if we go down in there, we can see the same threads are machined in it. I think the machining on the Iraurita is actually nicer, fits better. It might be because of the lacquer on the other one, but it's just, you know, considering it costs less than the Delike, I think it has better build quality to it. And it's not a big difference, but just enough to make it a little bit of an enhancement, maybe like, you know, a new version. So let's see how the pen writes. The nib and section unscrew, or sorry, the nib and feed unscrew like they do on the Delike. And before we're done, I may see if the Delike fits. You know, this unscrews. Again, nice threads all over the place, nice plating on everything. You can see that brass color in there. You know, your classic converter with a spring in it. I decided I needed a different kind of ink that I haven't used for a while, so we put on Robert Oster Gold Antiqua. So overall, the pen gets my recommendations, but let's see how the nib works. So I really polished up the brass pen. I mean, it is a nice color, but I didn't really buff out the worn piece that's there. But one of the things that you'll notice is there's a slight scratches here, which is below the posted cap. So it's not from the posting of the cap, it's from when you screw on the cap. Doesn't have that plastic liner like the Iraurita does. So therefore, you got some metal and metal contact there, and you're going to get some scratches. So the design of the Iraurita pen is better in that regard. This is the Delike nib that I pulled from a Delike Alpha, but all the Delike nib assemblies are the same. And here's the nib assembly I pulled out of the Iraurita, and I will have trouble with that name. They look similar, but they don't fit. The threads in the back here are different, so you just can't exchange nib assemblies. You might be able to pull the nibs and feeds out, and they might be exchangeable, but you just can't use this assembly. And there is a little bit of difference between the feeds, but not a lot, and the nibs look like your standard number 5. So unfortunately, you just can't swap nibs, and even though the pen is very, very similar to the Delike, there's a number of differences which make parts not interchangeable. Here's another little close-up of the pen before I uncap it. As you can see, it's not a perfect finish, but that's fine with me because it's metal, and metal should look like metal and not like plastic. At least it's just my opinion. And as I said, it unscrews, and my guesstimate on the weight was not correct. The cap is less than half. I think you can see that 1mm is certainly a big 1mm. Now we come to that all-important rating. And I had to give this a lot of thought. I'm going to come up with a 7. I do like the pen. I think it's well made, it's well engineered, but the slippery section is going to be something that you're never going to get used to. I'm certain if I'd have got the 0.5mm bent nib, it would have probably been more similar to the light bent nibs, and it would be easier as an everyday writer, but you know, this obviously has its own appeal. And I also think they've done a nice job at doing some minor changes to the Delike design, which make it a better pen. You know, they with that plastic insert in the cap, I think we'll avoid those scratches which we found on the Delike brass one. So I would say this is a lukewarm recommendation, and this is a pen you have to love. So Silver Surfer fans, fans of the Liquid Terminator, might be a pen that you would add to your collection or maybe put in with your action figures. It is a nice line. And this is the ink I put in there. I just figured something metallic. It's a Robert Oster ink that I got, one of the first ones that I got that I really liked. So this nib is certainly, for those people that don't like the extra fine and fine on the Delike, this is certainly not that. I would call it a fude, and that's probably close to 2.3, 2.4 millimeters when it actually writes. If you hold it more vertical, it's a medium. If you flip it over, it's an extra fine. It's not a pleasant writing experience, but it certainly works. And I did do a little smoothing on it just to make it write a little bit more consistently, because when I first tried this, it skipped quite a bit. But, you know, just took a little bit of micro mesh, and pen's really not designed to do that. At least what I've found is the slightly bent nibs work well in reverse writing, but these more severely bent fude nibs, I have not had many of them write well in reverse. But if you needed that fine line, it certainly could deliver that to you. And as we're going to do a full vertical, move down about 10 degrees, move down another 10 degrees, and then move to the normal writing position. I think you can see how that angle and line certainly does change a lot. Kind of like what the Sailor Zoom nib can do. But of course this is not of the same cost, and nor is it made out of gold like that nib is. And who knows how this will hold up over time, but it's a fun nib, obviously, from its initial use. And it's also a fairly wet writer. I think it's quite obvious from looking at it. This is an interesting ink. It's certainly a gold color. It's in that gold family. So that's our quick review of this Iraurita metal pen. Comes in a number of colors and comes in different nibs. You know, and to me, those people that like to find the auctions, the best thing to do is look for the name of the pen. Just do a search in eBay, because depending upon what country and what eBay version you have available to you, you're going to find different sellers and different options. So that's how you could find the pen if you're interested in it. So thank you very much for watching. Yeah, that section can get a little slippery. It's a little bit warm here. We have air conditioning, but it's still, you know, a little bit of slipperiness there from the oil and stuff on my fingers. So we reached the end of this video. May you have many great, wonderful writing experiences. Explore this wonderful world of pens that we have available to us. Enjoy your day. Until next time, bye.